An hour before it happened, my Thanksgiving was painfully ordinary. Turkey in the oven, gravy on the stove, and my husband Daniel complaining that the football stream kept freezing. Warm kitchen, safe house, the kind of calm that tricks you into thinking nothing bad can reach you. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I nearly ignored it. Holiday calls from strangers are usually scams or wrong numbers, but some stupid optimism made me answer. Hello? At first, there wasn't a voice, just fast, shaky breathing. Ko Linda. Farhung? A child whispered, Vietnamese accented English like the words hurt to say. My stomach dropped. Emily? I said, already standing. Emily! Honey, where are you? I'm at the old mall, she breathed. In the parking lot. The old mall in our town is a dead shell. Boarded storefronts. A dark cinema. Lights that flicker like they're tired of trying. Not a place for an 11-year-old to be anywhere near, especially at night. Why are you there? I asked, too loud. Emily swallowed. Mom said I ruined Thanksgiving. She said I made everything heavy, so she left me here, so I can think. My brain rejected the sentence for a second. Rachel left you there? I forced out. Yes, Emily whispered, like I was missing something obvious. She said there's a bus. She said I'm big enough. 11 is not big enough for being abandoned. Who's with her? I asked, needing facts to keep from screaming. All of them, Emily said, voice cracking. Mom, Mark, Grandma, Grandpa, Caleb, and Sienna. My parents. Rachel's husband. Their 2 younger kids. Everyone in the car. Everyone choosing to drive away. Daniel's game paused. He was suddenly standing in the doorway, eyes locked on my face. Emily, how are you calling me? I asked. A lady. She let me use her phone, Emily whispered. She saw me crying. I remembered your number. That hurt in a new, sharp place. My number memorized like a lifeline. Put the lady on, I said, forcing my voice calm. A shuffle, then a woman's wary voice. Hello? Hi, I'm Linda, Emily's aunt. Thank you for stopping. Where exactly are you? North entrance, she said. By the closed cinema. There's barely anyone here. I couldn't leave her. You did the right thing, I said, throat tight. Please stay with her. I'm coming right now. I'm not leaving, she said, firm. I got Emily back on the line. You didn't ruin anything, I told her. You hear me? A tiny, okay, that sounded like obedience, not belief. I'm on my way, I said. Stay with her. I'll be there soon. I hung up and grabbed my keys. My hands shook so hard the metal rattled. Daniel was already pulling on a coat. Where is she? The old mall, I said. Rachel left her. Daniel didn't ask if I was sure. He didn't suggest waiting. He just said, I'm driving. Halfway there, my phone lit up again. Rachel. I answered on speaker. Linda, Rachel sang. Happy Thanksgiving. What are you doing? Driving, I said. How's your resort? It's amazing, she laughed. The kids are having the best time. Why? How's Emily? I asked, flat. A pause. Then a sigh like she was the victim. Ugh, don't even. She was dramatic again. Crying, pouting ruined the mood. My teeth hurt from clenching. Where is she? She's home, Rachel snapped. I sent her back. There's a bus. What bus? I asked. Whatever bus goes back, she said. Stop acting like I dumped her in a ditch. Don't ruin this for me. It's Thanksgiving. I stared at the road, hands steady only because rage can be cold. Merry Thanksgiving, I said, and hung up. When we reached the lot, our headlights swept across cracked asphalt and a single flickering lamp. Under it, a small bundled shape sat on the curb. Emily. I got out before the car was fully in park. Emily? She looked up like she didn't trust her eyes. Then she ran and hit me hard, arms locked around my waist, trembling. You came, she whispered, like it was shocking. I'm here, I said into her hair. I've got you. She pulled back just enough to look at me, and asked the question that told me everything about what she'd been living with. Did I do something wrong? No, I said, and my voice broke anyway. You didn't. The woman who'd stopped stood nearby, arms crossed, watching us like a guard. Don't leave her here again, she said. I won't, I promised Val, not politeness. In the car, Emily sat wrapped in Daniel's blanket, staring at her hands like they belonged to someone else. Thanksgiving is with us now, I told her softly. She whispered, but Mom said. I don't care what she said, I cut in, then softened fast. You're safe. On the drive home, the turkey burned in my mind like an insult. I didn't know it yet, but that call didn't just change a holiday. It started a war. Back at our house, Emily hovered in the doorway like she expected to be yelled at for stepping on the wrong tile. Daniel set a mug of cocoa in front of her and slid a plate of food across the table like it was normal to rescue a child and continue dinner. Emily ate quietly, shoulders high, eyes darting toward my phone every time it lit up. Not once did she ask for her mom. Not once did she say she missed them. That silence was its own kind of evidence. When she finally spoke, it was barely a whisper. They said, I make everyone sad. I sat beside her and kept my voice steady. Adults are responsible for their feelings, I said. Not kids. Emily nodded, but it looked like she was filing the sentence away for later, unsure if it would still be true tomorrow. That night, Daniel found an old nightlight and plugged it into the guest room without comment. Emily fell asleep, curled into the blanket, like it was armor. I stood in the hallway and listened to her breathing, and something sharp clicked into place inside me. Rachel's story had one hinge: the bus. If the bus was real, she was reckless. If the bus wasn't real, then she didn't just punish Emily, she abandoned her, and I was done pretending it was family stuff. Rachel didn't become cruel overnight. That's what makes it hard to name. If she'd been obviously horrible, someone might have stopped her. Instead, she perfected the kind of neglect that hides under jokes and she's just sensitive. Growing up, Rachel was the favorite, and everyone acted like it was natural. My parents didn't beat me. They didn't lock me away. They did something quieter. They made me feel optional. Rachel got comfort without asking. I learned to be easy so I wouldn't be a burden. When Rachel got pregnant at 19, she said it out loud. I don't want this. Then Emily arrived small, loud, needy, like every baby, and Rachel treated her like a mistake that wouldn't stop crying. So Emily ended up with me. At first it was, can you watch her for an hour? Then, can you take her after work? Then, she listens to you better. I learned her routines, her fears, the way she calmed down if you hummed softly and rubbed her back in slow circles. Rachel posted cute photos, then disappeared again. When Rachel met Mark, things got worse not because he hit Emily, but because he erased her. He acted like marrying Rachel was heroic, and Emily was baggage. He called her Rachel's kid, never my daughter, like language could keep him clean. Then came Caleb. Then Sienna. Rachel's attention narrowed to the children who made her look like the mother she wanted to be seen as. The younger two got the big moments. Emily got the leftovers. It showed up in 100 small cuts. Caleb's birthday parties had themes and rented entertainment. Emily's birthday was, we'll do something later. Sienna got dance lessons and glitter costumes. Emily got told, you don't even like that. Family outings were for the little ones, which somehow always meant Emily stayed behind. Emily didn't throw tantrums. She just got quieter, like she was trying to shrink into a shape that didn't irritate anyone. And she apologized for everything, bumping a chair, asking for water, laughing too loud. I tried to talk to my parents. My mother said, Rachel has a lot on her plate. My father said, Emily is dramatic. They weren't blind. They were invested in the story that Rachel was fine. 6 months before Thanksgiving, Emily said the truth out loud in front of witnesses. We were at a family dinner with relatives visiting. Rachel was glowing, performing motherhood like it was a talent show. Someone complimented her. Rachel smiled so wide it hurt. Emily stared at her plate and said, clearly, I wish Aunt Linda was my mom. Forks paused. Conversation died. Rachel laughed too loudly. Don't be silly. Emily didn't laugh. She whispered, I want to live with her. After everyone left, Rachel cornered me in the kitchen. Not worried, humiliated. What did you tell her? She hissed. Nothing, I said. She spoke for herself. Rachel's eyes sharpened. You've been turning her against me. No, I said. You've been doing that. 2 days later, Rachel texted me a new rule. No more babysitting. No more special time. Emily needs boundaries. What she meant was, Emily needs to stop loving you. After that, I saw Emily only at gatherings Rachel couldn't skip. Emily would run to me anyway, like she was starving. Rachel would snap, Emily, come here, like she was yanking a leash. And then Rachel found a solution that didn't require her to change. She started leaving Emily alone at home. She's 11, Rachel would say. She can handle it. Thanksgiving was supposed to be another handle it night. But Rachel didn't leave Emily at home. She left her under a flickering parking lot lamp and called it a lesson. And the way she said, don't ruin this for me on the phone, told me one thing for sure. Rachel wasn't confused. Rachel was comfortable. The worst part is that, to outsiders, Rachel could look like a decent mom. She made sure the younger kids had matching outfits. She brought cupcakes to school events for Caleb and Sienna. She posted grateful captions online. If Emily stood in the background of a photo, you could mistake it for normal sibling spacing, not a pattern. But I saw the details you only notice when you love the child being erased. I saw Emily carrying her own coat at family gatherings, while Rachel fussed over Sienna's hair. I saw Mark hand Caleb a second slice of pie and tell Emily, you've had enough sugar, without even checking if she'd eaten dinner. I saw Emily volunteer to wash dishes at someone else's house, because being useful was the only way she knew to stay invited. I also saw how Emily reacted to kindness like it was temporary. If I bought her a book, she'd whisper, are you sure? If I said I missed her, she'd look startled, then hug me too hard. After Rachel banned babysitting, Emily started doing a strange thing. She'd leave little notes in my coat pockets when we hugged goodbye. Scraps of paper that said things like, I did good in math, or I cleaned my room, or I'm sorry I cried. Proof, offered like a payment. One time she wrote, please don't be mad at me, and I realized she didn't just fear Rachel's anger, she feared everyone's. I tried to talk to Rachel. I asked her to include Emily on outings. I asked her to stop calling her dramatic. Rachel rolled her eyes and said, you're making a big deal out of nothing. She needs tougher skin. Mark smirked and added, kids manipulate. You have to stay firm. He said it like he'd read it on a parenting blog, not like he'd ever listened to Emily's voice tremble. My parents backed them up. Don't undermine Rachel, my mother warned, as if Rachel's ego was more fragile than Emily's safety. So I waited. I told myself I was playing the long game. I told myself I couldn't prove anything. Until that Thanksgiving call proved the only thing I needed. Emily wasn't being too sensitive. She was being trained to believe she deserved abandonment. And once a family gets away with that, the pattern escalates. Home alone becomes left behind. Left behind becomes dumped. Dumped becomes whatever comes next, if no one stops it. That's why, standing in my hallway while Emily slept under a borrowed blanket, I stopped debating whether it was my place. Because if it wasn't my place to protect her, then whose was it? At 117 a meter, when Daniel finally convinced me to lie down, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that parking lot lamp flickering like it was dying. I heard Emily's voice. Did I do something wrong? At 1:34, I sat up and opened my laptop, because if my mind couldn't rest, my hands needed work. Rachel's story had one key sentence. There's a bus. I typed the city transit site into the search bar and pulled up the route that passed the old mall. It wasn't hard. There were only 2 lines that still technically served that dead place. Thanksgiving service schedule. My stomach tightened as the page loaded. No service after 6 p.m. Holiday schedule. I stared at the words until they blurred. Emily had called me at 7:42. There was no bus coming. Not then. Not at all. Rachel hadn't sent her home. Rachel had left her. Something in me snapped into clarity, clean, cold, almost calm. This wasn't family drama. This wasn't kids are hard. This wasn't she's sensitive. This was abandonment. Daniel came into the kitchen in socked feet, hair messy, eyes narrowed. "What are you doing?" I turned the laptop toward him. He read the schedule once, then again. His jaw worked like he was chewing nails. "So she lied. Or she didn't care enough to check," I said, and my voice sounded like someone else's. Daniel exhaled slowly. "What do you want to do?" I thought of Emily asleep in our guest room, curled around a pillow like it was armor. I thought of Rachel's tone. "Don't ruin this for me. I'm reporting it," I said. Daniel didn't flinch. "Okay, I'm with you." That morning, while the city pretended it was a normal holiday, we went to the police station. I gave a statement to an officer with tired eyes and a notebook. I told him the facts. Emily's call, the location, Rachel's admission she left her, the transit schedule showing no buses, the woman who'd found her. I expected disbelief. I expected someone to say, "Are you sure?" Like I was exaggerating. Instead, the officer's mouth tightened. He asked me to repeat Rachel's words. He wrote them down carefully. Then he said, "We'll file this. You should also contact Child Protective Services." So I did. Calling CPS feels like stepping into a river you can't swim back from. The questions are clinical, necessary, brutal. Is the child safe now? Yes. Does the guardian know where the child is? Not yet. Has this happened before? Not like this, but there's a pattern. Can you keep the child safe? Yes. When I hung up, my hands were shaking. Not because I doubted the decision, because I knew what it would cost. Reporting your own family is like lighting a match in a room full of gas. You don't know how far the fire will spread. Emily woke up late. She emerged from the guest room in oversized pajamas Daniel had dug out from a drawer. Her hair stuck up, eyes puffy. She saw my face and stopped. "Am I in trouble?" she asked. "No," I said quickly. "You're not in trouble. None of this is your fault." Emily nodded like she'd heard those words before, but never quite believed them. For 3 days after that, I waited for Rachel to explode. It didn't happen. Day 1, silence. Day 2, silence. Day 3, still nothing. Rachel was at a resort with Mark and the real kids, eating fancy meals and posting smiling photos, while Emily sat at my kitchen table drawing quietly, asking permission to get a second cookie. No one called to ask if she was safe. No one called to ask where she was. On day 4, my phone rang. "Rachel." I let it go to voicemail. My heart was pounding anyway. Her message arrived, clipped and rattled, the holiday cheer gone. "Linda, call me back. Emily isn't at the house. She's not here. Do you know where she is? Not, is she okay? Not, are you safe? Just, do you know where she is?" Like Emily was an object misplaced. I called the CPS caseworker assigned Miss Alvarez. She was calm, efficient, the kind of person who has heard too many tragedies to waste time on theatrics. "A case has been opened," she told me. "We'll interview the child. We'll contact the parents. For now, Emily can remain with you as a kinship placement while we investigate." Kinship placement. Temporary words. Heavy words. When Rachel finally learned Emily was with me, the messages started. First came outrage. "What did you do? You had no right." Then accusations. "You're poisoning her against me." Then threats. "I'll call the police. I'll take you to court." I didn't answer. Miss Alvarez had told me to keep communication clean. Facts only. Receipts. Then Rachel's tone shifted again, cold, dismissive. A text arrived at 11:03 p.m. "Fine. Keep her." Another followed a minute later, because Rachel can't resist twisting a knife. "She wanted you anyway. Don't come crying when you can't handle her. She ruins everything." I stared at the screen until it dimmed, until my reflection looked back at me like a stranger. Daniel took my phone gently and set it face down. "We're keeping everything," he said. "I know," I whispered. The interviews began. Emily told Miss Alvarez the truth in her small, careful voice. She described how Rachel said she made everything heavy, how Mark rolled his eyes, how Caleb and Sienna laughed in the back seat when the car drove away. My parents were contacted for interviews too. They delayed, they rescheduled, they acted offended, like being asked about a child left in a parking lot was an inconvenience. Mark missed 2 appointments. Rachel showed up to one and cried on cue, claiming she was overwhelmed and Emily was manipulative. Miss Alvarez didn't react. She just took notes. By the time my lawyer, because yes, I got one, told me we could petition for more permanent guardianship, something inside me unclenched. But the quiet that followed wasn't peace. It was the calm before my family found a reason to fight harder. And I didn't know that reason was going to arrive in the form of an envelope. 2 months after Thanksgiving, life had started to find a rhythm that almost felt possible. Emily began therapy. She got a new backpack. Daniel taught her how to make grilled cheese without burning it. She laughed more small laughs at first, like she wasn't sure she was allowed. Sometimes she still apologized when she breathed too loudly, but she was learning. Rachel, meanwhile, went quiet. She missed meetings. She stopped texting threats. My parents stopped checking in because their version of checking in was asking, "So when is this going to be over?" It was suspiciously easy. And then my lawyer, Miss Patel, called me and said, "Linda, come to my office today." No greeting, no warmth, just that tone professionals use when they're trying not to set your hair on fire over the phone. When I arrived, she shut the door and slid a letter across the desk. A state attorney letterhead, formal language, Emily's name, and a number so large my mouth went dry. A trust. A substantial education fund established by the estate of Emily's biological father's mother, a woman Emily had never met. Rachel had never talked about Emily's biological father except to call him a mistake. Apparently, his mother had tracked Emily down anyway and left money specifically for her future. $900,000 in a protected trust, plus additional provisions for health and support. My first reaction tried to be human. That could change Emily's life. My second reaction was darker. That could change Rachel's intentions. Miss Patel watched my face. "They received copies," she said, "which means they now know Emily is financially significant." My stomach turned. "So this is why it's been quiet." "It's likely," Miss Patel said. "People who don't want a child often want the money attached to her." 2 days later, the other shoe hit. Rachel retained counsel. A formal demand letter arrived at my house, crisp and polite, like lawyers can wash cruelty with clean fonts. They demanded immediate reunification. They alleged I had kidnapped Emily emotionally, that I had alienated her, that I had exploited a temporary misunderstanding to steal a child. Steal. As if Emily had been a purse Rachel misplaced. Emily didn't read the letter, but she saw my face. She went still at the kitchen table. "Are they coming?" she whispered. I crouched beside her chair and kept my voice steady. "You're safe," I said. "And you are not going anywhere without a judge saying so." Emily nodded like she was practicing belief. That night, Rachel texted me directly, skipping politeness entirely. "You stole my daughter. You're doing this for money. Bring her home now." I didn't reply. Miss Patel had warned me. Let the court see who you are by what you do, not by what you say when you're angry. My mother left one voicemail. One. It sounded rehearsed, like she'd practiced it in front of a mirror. "Linda, this has gone too far. Emily belongs with her family." I listened twice, waiting for the part where my mother remembered Emily is also my family. It never came. Court moved fast when money was involved. Funny how urgency appears when there's a number with commas. At the first hearing, Rachel arrived in her best, concerned mother costume. Hair perfect, eyes glossy, voice soft. Mark sat beside her, hand on her knee like he was supporting a fragile angel instead of the woman who abandoned a child in a parking lot. My parents sat behind them, looking wounded, like victims of my overreaction. And I sat with Miss Patel, hands steady only because Daniel's knee pressed against mine like an anchor. Rachel's lawyer spoke about conflict and miscommunication, and a well-meaning aunt who overstepped. Miss Patel didn't argue emotionally. She laid out a timeline. Thanksgiving night call time, parking lot location, the transit schedule showing no bus service, police report, CPS report, 3-day silence before Rachel even noticed Emily wasn't home. Then Miss Patel produced Rachel's own words. Fine, keep her. She wanted you anyway. She ruins everything. Rachel's face tightened when her text messages appeared on a screen. The judge asked Rachel a simple question. Why did you not contact your child's aunt sooner if you believed the child was with her? Rachel blinked too long. I thought she was home. The judge's eyebrow rose. You left an 11-year-old to take a bus on a holiday night without confirming the bus schedule? Rachel's voice went small. I was overwhelmed. Overwhelmed, the judge repeated, looking down at the evidence of a luxury resort booking posted in Rachel's own social media screenshots. Yes, we had those too. Mark tried his turn, claiming he adored Emily and wanted family unity. Miss Patel asked him how many school events he'd attended in the past year. He couldn't answer. My parents tried to paint me as dramatic. Miss Patel asked them why they supported leaving Emily in the parking lot. My father shifted and said, "It was supposed to be a lesson." The judge's expression hardened. A lesson, she echoed, as if tasting something bitter. Emily was interviewed separately by a child advocate. She told them the truth. She didn't feel safe going back. She didn't want to be left again. She didn't want to be the problem anymore. In court, Rachel's lawyer tried to frame Emily's fear as coaching. But fear has a signature. It doesn't sound like acting. It sounds like an 11-year-old who learned not to expect rescue. The judge issued a temporary order. Emily remained with me. Rachel and Mark would have supervised visitation contingent on compliance with services. Rachel's face went pale. Outside the courtroom, she hissed, "You're doing this because you want her money." I looked at her and realized something was gone in me. Not love, not grief, just the last thread of hope that she might remember Emily is a human being. "No," I said quietly. "I'm doing this because you left her under a broken streetlight and called it parenting." Rachel's eyes flashed. This isn't over. She was right. But the court didn't care about Rachel's feelings. It cared about evidence, and we had plenty. The final hearing landed 3 months later, and by then, Rachel had already done the thing she always does when responsibility gets hard. She stopped showing up. 2 supervised visits were scheduled. Rachel missed one with a car problem. Mark missed another because he forgot. When they did appear, they spent most of the time performing Rachel crying softly. Mark insisting he always wanted what's best while Emily sat stiff in a plastic chair, eyes fixed on the clock. After the second visit, Emily came home and washed her hands for 10 minutes straight, like she could scrub off the feeling of being unwanted. Miss Alvarez documented everything: therapy notes, school attendance, compliance reports, the pattern of no-shows and excuses. Emily, meanwhile, started to breathe. She joined art club. She raised her hand in class. She laughed at Daniel's terrible jokes without glancing around to see if she'd get punished for it. Some nights she still woke from nightmares, but now she knew someone would come. On an ordinary Tuesday, my lawyer, Miss Patel, called. "Linda," she said, and her voice was softer than usual. The judge signed the order. For a second, my brain didn't understand. "Which order?" I whispered, even though I knew. "Adoption," she said. "It's approved. It's done." My knees gave out. I sat on the kitchen floor, phone pressed to my ear, breathing like I'd just run a marathon I didn't train for. Daniel found me there, eyes wide, and I could only nod and laugh once broken, relieved. When Emily came home from school, she read my face instantly. She froze in the hallway, backpack still on. "Did something happen?" she asked, careful. I knelt in front of her and placed my hands on her shoulders so she could feel I was real. "You don't have to go back," I said. "Ever. The judge said you can stay here. If you want, you're officially my daughter now." Emily stared at me like the words were too big to fit inside her. Her mouth opened and closed, like she was trying to speak a language she'd never been taught. Then she threw her arms around my neck and sobbed big, shaking sobs that sounded like 9 years of swallowed fear finally finding air. "I'm staying," she choked. "You're home," I whispered into her hair. "You're safe." Rachel didn't get visitation. The court offered services and supervised contact if Rachel complied. She didn't. She missed deadlines, skipped sessions, and tried to argue through her lawyer that the trust money should remain under parental control. That sentence alone told the judge everything. Mark disappeared the moment the paperwork stopped benefiting him. My parents called twice. I didn't answer. They sent one email about forgiveness and moving forward. I deleted it. Emily deserved quiet more than they deserved closure. A month later, the trust finalized under strict oversight. The money was locked for Emily's education, health, and support. I was named trustee with reporting requirements, meaning no one could borrow from it, siphon it, or turn Emily into a walking ATM. We didn't buy a bigger house. We didn't take luxury trips. We did what Rachel never did. We spent resources on the child, not the image. Therapy, tutoring, dental care, a winter coat that fit, a desk in her room that belonged to her, not a corner of someone else's space. Small things that add up to one big thing: stability. Emily picked the paint color for her room, soft green. She said it felt like breathing. The first night it was finished, she stood in the doorway and asked, "This is really mine?" Like ownership was something you had to earn. "It's yours," Daniel said simply. Sometimes Emily still apologizes for taking up space. Trauma doesn't vanish because a judge signs papers. But now, when she says sorry, we answer the same way every time. You don't have to earn being here. As for Rachel, the last message she sent came from an address I hadn't blocked yet, like she couldn't stand being shut out. "You'll regret this. She'll ruin your life like she ruined mine." I read it once, felt nothing but clarity, and blocked it. A year has passed. Our Thanksgiving table looks the same: turkey, mashed potatoes, too many pies. But the feeling is different. Emily argues with Daniel about movies. She teases me for oversalting the gravy. She sprawls on the couch like she owns the room, because she does. And sometimes, when the house is quiet, I think about the flickering lamp at the old mall and an 11-year-old girl asking if she'd done something wrong. Then I think about how fast my family remembered her the moment money entered the story. The fallout rippled anyway. A cousin called to check on me and accidentally admitted Rachel had been telling people I brainwashed Emily. Another relative quietly apologized and said, "I didn't know it was that bad." Word travels when a judge writes abandonment in a file. Emily heard pieces of it at school, too. Kids repeat adult gossip. One afternoon, she came home and asked, "Am I the reason everyone is fighting?" Her voice was careful, like she expected the truth to hurt. I sat with her at the kitchen table and answered slowly. "No," I said. "Adults made choices. Adults caused the fight. You're not responsible for what they did." She stared at her hands, then looked up. "So, I'm not a problem?" Daniel, who had been pretending to read the mail, set it down and said, "You're a kid who deserved better. That's all." Emily blinked hard, like she was trying not to cry, then nodded once small, but real. "People still tell me I went too far, that I should have handled it privately. That family is family. My answer is the same every time. I didn't go too far. I went far enough to bring a child home. So tell me, what would you have done? Did I do too much or not enough? Leave a comment, and if you want more stories like this, hit subscribe.